I've, I've been through pain. I've been through rejection, doubt, and failure. But I stand here today to tell you pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Preparation for your purpose. See, what tried to break you, that was the breakthrough. The setbacks, the loss, the silence, all of it had a purpose. You just didn't see it yet. But I promise you, when you stop running from your pain and start listening to it, you'll realize it's been pointing you to your calling all along. This ain't about avoiding pain. This is about transforming it. Because pain, when channeled with faith, becomes power. I've been through pain. Not the kind you just brush off with a smile or distract yourself from by staying busy. I'm talking about the kind of pain that sits in your bones. The kind that keeps you up at night. The kind that makes you question everything. Your purpose, your worth, even your next step. I've faced rejection more times than I can count. I've walked into rooms full of people who didn't believe in me, who didn't see me. I've auditioned for roles and left that room knowing I gave it everything I had and still heard no. I've prayed with no answers, worked with no applause, and struggled when no one was watching. But here's what I've learned, and I'm telling you from experience. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a signal. It's not a sentence. It's not punishment. It's a wake-up call, a moment to pause and look deeper at where you are and who you're becoming. When I was younger, I thought that pain was something to escape from. I thought if I could just work harder, move faster, stay busy, I could outrun it. But pain has a way of finding you, even in your success. Even when things look good on the outside, if you haven't dealt with what's broken on the inside, it catches up to you. I had to learn to sit with it, to listen to it, because pain speaks. It tells you what's not aligned. It shows you what needs to be healed. And most importantly, it reveals what you were made for. See, the pain I went through, the losses, the closed doors, the doubts, they didn't break me. They shaped me. They stripped away everything that was superficial and left me with something real. They made me dig into a deeper part of myself, a part I didn't even know was there. I remember times when I thought, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm dreaming too big. And that voice inside, full of fear, full of doubt, it gets loud when you're hurting. But somewhere beneath all that noise, there was another voice. A still one. The one that said, keep going. The one that reminded me that this pain wasn't in vain, that it was preparing me for something bigger, something beyond me, and I held on to that. Even when I couldn't see the outcome, I held on to that truth. Because once you realize pain has a purpose, it no longer controls you. It fuels you. I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for the pain I went through. It taught me to be humble. It taught me to listen. It taught me how to speak to people's hearts, not just their ears. You can't fake wisdom. You can't pretend experience. You either went through it or you didn't. And I did. I walked through the fire and I came out with something gold. Not fame, not fortune, but purpose. Real tested, hard-earned purpose. And that's what I want to pass on. Not just the wins, but the wounds. Not just the spotlight, but the shadows I came out of. So when you're hurting, when you're down, when you feel like giving up, I want you to remember this. Your pain is speaking. Listen to it. Let it teach you. Let it stretch you. Let it shape the person you were meant to become. Don't numb it. Don't run from it. Because that pain, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to define you, to introduce you to your deeper self, to your stronger self. And if you allow it, if you stay in the process, that pain will push you straight into your purpose. I know, because it happened to me. I remember being broke. I remember the rejections, the unanswered calls that will let you know that never came. I remember sitting in my mother's salon, wondering if I had made the biggest mistake of my life chasing this dream. People see the spotlight, the awards, the speeches, but they don't see the struggle that came before all that. The truth is, I didn't just wake up motivated one day. I got hit. I got pushed. Life didn't invite me to the top. It challenged me to climb. Every no was a reminder that I was still in the fight, that I hadn't given up, that somewhere in all this pain, there was a purpose trying to be born. There's something powerful about struggle. When you're in it, it feels like the world's against you, like you're alone, like nobody understands what you're going through. But I've learned something over the years. Your struggle is still breathing, still moving, still trying. And that effort, that fight, that means something. That's where character is built. You don't grow when things are easy. You grow when you're forced to dig deeper than you ever thought you could. I found out who I was not in the moments where things were working out, but in the moments where everything was falling apart. I remember early in my career, I'd get close to a role, real close, and then I'd lose it. Not because I wasn't good enough, but because someone else fit the mold they were looking for. I started to question myself. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I need to find a different path. But every time I got knocked down, something inside of me whispered, get up. Don't stop. Keep going. That whisper, that's your purpose speaking. It doesn't yell. It doesn't scream. It waits. And it shows up when you've run out of excuses. When it's just you and the pain. That's when purpose introduces itself. Struggle taught me discipline. Struggle taught me humility. Struggle taught me how to stay grounded when success came later. If I hadn't gone through what I did, I would have been reckless with the blessing. That fight early on, that was God preparing me for what was coming. Some of y'all want the success, but you don't want the pressure. You want the crown, but not the cross. But let me tell you something. The weight of the struggle is what strengthens your back to carry the victory. Don't despise the hard times. They're molding you. They're refining you. They're separating who you think you are from who you really are. I've had moments where I wanted to quit, where I didn't feel like praying, where I was tired of believing. But even in that silence, even in that dry season, I knew something was happening. You see, when you plant a seed, you don't see what's going on under the soil. It looks dead. It looks forgotten. But underground, that seed is fighting to break open. It's building roots. It's getting stronger. Your struggle is the soil. And every time you keep going, even when it hurts, you're growing deeper roots. Roots that can hold the weight of the blessing that's coming. I didn't become who I am because things were handed to me. I became who I am because I refused to stay down. The people who make it in life aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall 10 times and get up 11. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They work through the storm. They push when nobody's watching. They believe in something greater than what they can see. That's what struggle does. It builds warriors. It builds leaders. It builds people who can stand tall, not because they've never been broken, but because they've learned how to heal. So if you're in the middle of something right now, if life is hard, if you feel unseen, unheard, unworthy, just remember, your struggle is proof you're still in the fight. And that fight, that's your training ground. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Because one day, you'll look back at everything you thought would break you, and you'll realize it built you. You're not losing. You're learning. You're not behind. You're becoming. Keep going. I've learned that purpose is not something that comes wrapped with a ribbon, sitting there waiting for you to just open it one day. Purpose is forged in the fire. It's found in the moments when life is tearing at you, testing you, pressing you from all sides. You don't just wake up one morning and say, I've got purpose now. No. You walk through things. You bleed through things. You cry in silence when no one sees you. And somewhere in that pain, in that heat, in that process, your purpose starts to reveal itself. That's how it was for me. There were nights when I questioned if I was enough. Days when the doors kept closing. Times when I felt like I was given everything I had and still falling short. People saw the red carpets, the awards, the applause, but they didn't see the nights I slept in my car, the auditions I didn't get, the roles I was overlooked for. They didn't see me standing outside the studio building with nothing but hope in my hands, praying for just one shot. The rejection wasn't just a no. It felt like a declaration that maybe I didn't belong. But every one of those moments, those fires, they shaped me. You see, there's something powerful that happens when everything you was going to work doesn't. You start to search deeper. You start to ask real questions. Who am I without the spotlight? Who am I without the applause? What do I believe when no one's watching? That's where purpose begins, in the ashes of your expectations. I didn't find mine when everything was going right. I found mine when everything was falling apart. Because in that breaking down, I had to rebuild, not just my career, but my character, my spirit, my faith. And faith, let me tell you, faith is not about knowing how it's all going to turn out. Faith is believing there's purpose in the fire. It's believing that even this pain is part of something bigger. When I didn't get the role, when I felt invisible, when I felt like the world was moving on without me, faith whispered, keep walking. This is building something in you. And it was building patience, resilience, humility. It was teaching me to act with intention, to speak with truth, to live with integrity. All of those things became the foundation for the man I am today. So when people ask me how I found my purpose, I tell them, I didn't find it in the comfort. I found it in the pressure. I found it in the fire. I found it in the moments where giving up felt like the easier option. And still, I chose to show up. Still, I chose to give my best. And slowly, through the disappointments, through the heartbreaks, something started to emerge. I realized I wasn't just here to perform. I wasn't just here to entertain. I was here to inspire, to lift, to remind people that they are stronger than they think. That pain does not mean the end. It means the beginning of something real. Purpose isn't about applause. It's about assignment. It's about understanding that everything you've gone through wasn't wasted. It's about realizing that your scars carry stories that someone else needs to hear. I had to walk through the fire so I could help someone else find their way through it too. I had to get burned to understand how to lead others to the light. And now, every time I step onto a stage, every time I speak, every time I act, I carry that purpose with me. Not because I'm perfect, because I've been through the fire and I came out with something more than fame. I came out with meaning. So if you're walking through your own fire right now, if everything around you feels like it's collapsing, if you're questioning whether any of it matters, I want to tell you, it does. That pain you're feeling, it's shaping you. It's preparing you. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and say, that's where I found my fire. That's where I found my purpose. Don't run from the fire. Walk through it. Because on the other side, there's something greater waiting for you. The person you were born to be. There was a time when I almost let the world write my story for me. I was a young man, full of questions, surrounded by noise, people telling me who I should be, what I couldn't do, where my limits were. And for a moment, I listened. I believed them. I thought maybe they were right. Maybe I was just another name that would fade out before it even lit up. But deep down, something kept whispering, "This ain't you." That whisper was purpose, buried under the weight of doubt. And I had to make a decision. Was I going to let the world define me, or was I going to find out who I truly was? See, the world will try to put you in a box. It will label you based on where you come from, how you talk, the color of your skin, your mistakes, your past. It'll say, stay in your lane. But what they really mean is, stay small. Don't dream too big. Don't make us uncomfortable with your ambition. That's what I faced. That's what so many of us face. And if you're not careful, you'll start to wear those labels like they're the truth. But they're not. They're projections. They're fear disguised as advice. And you have to be bold enough, strong enough, disciplined enough to say, no, that's not my story. I remember walking into rooms where I wasn't expected to be more than a stereotype. I remember auditions where they had already made up their minds before I even opened my mouth. But I walked in anyway. I showed up anyway, because I knew I had something they couldn't see yet. Purpose doesn't always announce itself with a spotlight. Sometimes it shows up quietly, disguised as a struggle, a challenge, a test. And when it does, you have to decide who you are in that moment. Not who they told you to be. Who you are. They said I wouldn't make it. They said I wasn't marketable, that I'd never lead, never be more than a background player. I didn't argue. I didn't waste my energy proving myself to people who had already closed their minds. I just kept working, kept growing, kept learning, because the only one who needs to believe in your purpose is you. You can't ask the world for permission to be great. It won't give it to you. You have to claim it every single day, action, through focus, through faith. The truth is, the world doesn't get to define your worth. You do. They can't see your heart. They don't know what you've survived. They don't see the nights you cried, the moments you almost gave up, the fire that kept burning, even when no one else saw it. That fire, that's your responsibility. Not theirs. You have to protect it. Feed it. Let it guide you. Because once you know who you are, once you truly embrace your purpose, no label sticks unless you let it. No insult lands unless you believe it. And no one can write your story unless you hand them the pen. I didn't get here by fitting in. I got here by standing out, by standing up, by choosing not to be small. I turned every no into fuel. I turned every closed door into motivation to build my own. I stopped explaining my scars and started showing people how they healed. And once I did that, once I truly stepped into my identity, my power, my purpose, doors started opening that I didn't even knock on. That's what happens when you walk in truth. People can't help but notice. You don't owe the world comfort. You don't owe it silence. You owe it the fullest version of yourself, because someone out there needs your story. Not the edited version, the real one, the raw one, the one where you fall, but get back up, the one where you doubt, but still choose faith. That's where the impact lies. That's where the legacy begins. So don't let the world define your story. Pick up the pen, own your voice, and write a story so bold, so honest, so powerful, that even the ones who doubted you have no choice but to respect the author. I didn't grow up with the idea that I was meant to inspire anybody. I was just trying to survive. I didn't know back then that the pain I felt, the confusion I carried, the battles I fought, those would one day become the words somebody else needed to hear. You see, it's one thing to go through struggle, to endure loss, to be doubted, overlooked, or forgotten. But it's another thing to come out of that fire and decide, I'm not keeping this to myself. That's what changed everything for me. Because what good is a testimony if it's locked away? What good is wisdom if it stays silent? I realized at some point that my life, my wins, my losses, my pain, it wasn't just for me. It was meant to help someone else. I've seen too many people suffer in silence, thinking they're alone in their struggle, thinking no one else has fallen like they've fallen, that no one else has been afraid, broken, exhausted. And the reason they believe that is because not enough of us are willing to speak up. Not enough of us are willing to say, I've been there too. I had to look at myself and say, if I've been blessed to make it through, then I have a responsibility to reach back and lift somebody else up. That's what purpose is. That's what legacy means. It's not about the awards, the fame, the lights. It's about impact. It's about reaching people you may never even meet, but somehow your words, your actions, your journey, it reaches them. I remember when I started speaking at universities, young people would come up to me afterward with tears in their eyes, not because I gave them some magic solution to life, but because they heard something real, something raw, something that made them believe they could keep going. And it hit me. Maybe all the pain went through wasn't just about building me. Maybe it was about building something through me. Maybe I was chosen to go through the fire so that when someone else felt like giving up, I could stand in front of them and say, don't. I've seen that place. I've been there. And there's life after it. It's one thing to become successful. It's another thing to be significant. Success can fill your pockets. Significance fills your purpose. And when I look at the platform I've been given, the opportunities I've had, I don't take that lightly. I don't stand on these stages just to entertain. I speak because I know what it's like to wonder if you're enough. I know what it's like to be praying for direction, begging for a sign. And I want to be that sign for someone. I want to use everything I've been through, the pain, the rejection, the failure, and turn it into something useful, something healing, something that reminds others that they're not alone, and more importantly, that they're not done. There's someone right now, somewhere in the world, holding on by a thread. And they're not looking for a superhero. They're looking for someone real. Someone who can say, yeah, I've been knocked down. Yeah, I've made mistakes. But I got back up. And so can you. That's how you use your platform. That's how you honor your pain. Not by hiding it. Not by pretending you were never wounded. But by showing your scars and saying, look, this is what healing looks like. I believe God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every sleepless night, every season of confusion. It all has a place in your purpose. And if you're willing to surrender it, if you're willing to be open about it, it can become someone else's breakthrough. So don't sit on your story. Don't bury your battles. Don't be ashamed of your wounds. Speak, share, uplift. You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. And you never know just how much your voice might mean to someone who's still in the fight. So I made a choice. I chose not to just chase greatness for myself. I chose to give it away. I chose to make every role I play, every speech I give, every platform I stand on about more than just me. I chose to use what I've lived through to help someone else live. Because in the end, that's the only thing that really matters. That's the purpose behind the pain,